Two birds return from the same race at exactly the same time. They've flown 300 kilometers together, navigated the same weather, faced the same challenges. They circle the loft together, descending toward landing. Both are equally tired, equally capable physically. Then everything diverges. Bird 1 lands on the landing board, pauses for maybe 2 seconds scanning for threats, and enters the trap immediately. 3 seconds total from landing to trap entry. The electronic timer registers its arrival. Bird 1 has just won or placed high in the race. Bird 2 lands on the landing board at the exact same moment. But instead of entering, it walks to the side of the board, looks around, seems uncertain, walks back toward the trap opening, hesitates, walks away again, jumps to the roof, sits there, watches other birds entering below. 30 seconds pass, 1 minute, 2 minutes. Other birds that arrived later are now entering and registering their times ahead of Bird 2. Finally, after 3 minutes, Bird 2 jumps back to the landing board and enters. The timer registers a position 20 birds behind where it should have been based on actual arrival time. Same flight capability, same navigation ability, same physical condition, completely different race results. The difference isn't in how they flew. The difference is in trap discipline, the instinct and training that determines how quickly a bird enters the trap after landing. And here's what most fanciers don't understand. Trap discipline is more predictive of racing success than almost any other single characteristic you can measure. You can have a bird with perfect wing structure, exceptional speed, brilliant navigation, and excellent health. If that bird has poor trap discipline, it will lose races to physically inferior birds that enter immediately. You can have a bird with average physical qualities but exceptional trap discipline, and it will win or place consistently by trapping fast, while better flyers hesitate outside. This is why top fanciers like Leo Harriman's, Louis van der Velde, and Gaston van de Wouwer obsess over trap discipline. They test it deliberately, they select for it ruthlessly. They manage their lofts specifically to optimize it, and their results prove that trap discipline matters as much or more than the characteristics most fanciers focus on. Today we're going to cover everything about trap discipline and the trap response test. What it is, why it matters so much, how to test it, how to interpret results, how to select based on it, and how to improve it in birds that show potential but need refinement. By the end, you'll understand why the best fanciers say things like trap speed is more important than wing quality, and why birds that show poor trap response in testing should be culled regardless of how good they look physically. Let's start with understanding what trap discipline actually is, and why it's so critical. Trap discipline is the combination of loft attachment, confidence, and learned behavior that causes a bird to enter the trap immediately upon returning from flight. It's partly instinctual. Some birds naturally have strong homing drive and urgency to enter. It's partly learned through training and positive association with the loft, and it's partly environmental, based on how secure and appealing the loft environment is. When a bird returns from a race, several competing motivations affect its behavior. First is the drive to enter home and reach safety, food, water, and rest. This is the homing instinct. Second is caution about potential threats near the landing area. Predators, unfamiliar people, unusual objects, anything that seems dangerous triggers hesitation. Third is curiosity or distraction by other stimuli, other birds landing elsewhere, activity in neighboring lofts, interesting sights or sounds nearby. A bird with excellent trap discipline has such strong homing drive and loft attachment that the urge to enter overwhelms caution and distraction. The bird lands and enters immediately without hesitation. A bird with poor trap discipline has weaker homing drive or higher sensitivity to threats and distractions. The bird lands but then hesitates, evaluates, gets distracted, and delays entry. Why does this matter so much for racing? First and most obviously, trap entry registers official arrival time. In racing, you're not scored on when you landed. You're scored on when you entered the trap and the electronic timer or clock registered you. Every second of delay between landing and entry is lost race position. In a competitive race, the difference between first place and 20th place might be 30 seconds total over 300 kilometers of flying. If your bird loses 3 minutes at the trap through hesitation, you've lost 20 to 40 positions even though your bird flew just as well as the winners. Second, trap hesitation creates stress and exhaustion. A bird that lands and enters immediately begins recovery. It drinks, it eats, it rests. A bird that lands but doesn't enter spends minutes or even hours sitting outside, still exposed to weather, still stressed, not drinking, not eating, not resting. This delayed recovery affects the bird's health and its ability to race again the following week. Birds with poor trap discipline often show progressive deterioration through a racing season because they're not recovering optimally between races. Third, trap hesitation increases loss risk. A bird sitting on the roof or landing board for extended periods is vulnerable to predators, especially hawks. It's vulnerable to disorientation If disturbed by predators or people, it might fly off and then become confused about returning. It's vulnerable to getting attracted to neighboring lofts if there's activity there. The longer a bird hesitates outside, the higher the probability it gets lost or killed. Birds with excellent trap discipline minimize exposure by entering immediately, dramatically reducing loss risk. Fourth, trap discipline correlates with other desirable characteristics. Birds with strong trap discipline usually have strong loft attachment, which means they're strongly motivated to return home from races and resist getting lost. They usually have confidence, which helps them perform well under race stress. They usually have intelligence, which allows them to learn quickly and adapt to changing conditions. Testing trap discipline gives you information about multiple valuable traits simultaneously. For all these reasons, trap discipline is one of the most important characteristics to test for and select on when building a racing team. Now let's discuss how to actually test trap discipline in a standardized way that gives you comparable data. The trap response test is simple in concept but requires precise execution and honest observation. The test measures how quickly a bird enters the trap after landing from a short training flight. You're not testing navigation or flight speed. You're specifically isolating and measuring the trap entry behavior. Here's the exact protocol. Step 1. Establish baseline. Before testing, ensure birds are completely familiar with the loft and trap. They should have been flying from the loft for at least 1 week, ideally 2 weeks. They should have entered the trap voluntarily dozens of times during daily loft flying. You're testing learned trap discipline, not introducing them to the trap for the first time. If birds aren't thoroughly familiar with the loft and trap, the test results are meaningless. Step 2. Select test distance. The test should be conducted from a short distance where navigation is trivial and all birds return quickly. 1 kilometer is ideal for most situations. Some fanciers use 500 meters, some use 2 kilometers. The exact distance doesn't matter as long as it's short enough that return time is consistent and navigation difficulty doesn't affect results. You want birds arriving at the loft within 5 to 10 minutes of release, all within a tight time window, so you can observe trap entry behavior under similar conditions. Step 3. Prepare testing conditions. Test on a calm, clear day with good visibility and light wind. You want optimal conditions so nothing interferes with normal trap entry behavior. Don't test in rain, strong wind, extreme heat, or other stressful conditions. Don't test when there's unusual activity near the loft, construction, visitors, predators. Create the calmest, most normal conditions possible. Step 4. Prepare observation protocol. You need someone at the loft ready to observe and record trap entry for every bird. That person should have a stopwatch or timer, a notebook or recording device, and clear view of the landing board and trap entrance. Their job is to measure the time from when each bird lands on the landing board or roof to when it physically enters through the trap. This requires attention because birds land quickly and entries happen fast. If you're testing alone, consider setting up a video camera focused on the landing area so you can review and time entries accurately afterward. Step 5. Execute the toss. Take the birds you're testing, transport them to the chosen distance, and release them. Record exact release time. Don't mix tested birds with untested birds. Don't release birds in small groups where social dynamics might affect behavior. Release all test birds together so they return under similar conditions and timeframes. Step 6. Observe and record. As birds return, watch carefully. The moment each bird makes physical contact with the landing board or roof, start the timer for that bird. The moment that bird's body passes completely through the trap entrance, stop the timer. Record the elapsed time. Also record qualitative observations. Did the bird land and walk directly to the trap? Did it hesitate and look around? Did it jump to the roof? Did it walk away from the trap? Did it watch other birds entering before entering itself? All these behaviors are relevant data. Step 7. Analyze results. After all birds have returned and entered, review the timing data and observational notes. Rank birds from fastest trap entry to slowest. Group birds into categories based on trap entry speed and behavior quality. This ranking and categorization is your trap discipline assessment. Now let's discuss how to interpret trap response test results, because the timing data needs context to be meaningful. A bird that enters within 0 to 5 seconds of landing is showing exceptional trap discipline. This bird landed and immediately entered with essentially no hesitation. 5 seconds allows for the bird to land, steady itself, take maybe 1 step toward the trap, and enter. This is ideal behavior. These birds are top priority for racing and breeding. Their trap discipline is so strong it will serve them well in any race conditions. A bird that enters within 5 to 15 seconds is showing good but not exceptional trap discipline. This bird landed, hesitated briefly, maybe looked around or took a few steps, then entered. 15 seconds of hesitation is noticeable, but not problematic. These birds will trap reasonably well in races, but might lose a few positions to faster trapping birds. These birds are acceptable for racing and can be bred from if other qualities are strong. A bird that enters within 15 to 30 seconds is showing marginal trap discipline. This bird landed but showed significant hesitation. Maybe it walked around the landing board. Maybe it jumped to the roof briefly. Maybe it watched other birds entering before deciding to enter. 30 seconds of hesitation costs multiple positions in competitive races. These birds are questionable for serious racing. They might be acceptable for easier races or as breeding birds if their other qualities are exceptional, but they're not priority racing birds. A bird that takes more than 30 seconds to enter after landing is showing poor trap discipline. This bird is hesitating excessively, showing weak loft attachment or high sensitivity to distractions and perceived threats. In actual races, these birds will lose many positions through trap hesitation. Worse, they're at high risk of getting lost because prolonged hesitation outside creates opportunities for disorientation. These birds should generally be culled from the racing program unless they're extremely valuable for other reasons and you're willing to invest significant effort in remedial training. A bird that lands but doesn't enter within several minutes, or that flies away after landing and has to be called back, is showing very poor trap discipline. These birds are not suitable for racing. They're loss risks. They should be culled immediately from any serious program. These timing guidelines are approximate because many factors affect trap entry speed. In ideal conditions with a loft, the bird knows perfectly trap entry should be fast. In less familiar situations or slightly stressful conditions, even good birds might hesitate more. But the relative rankings hold. Birds that trap fastest in testing will trap fastest in races. Birds that trap slowly in testing will trap slowly in races. The qualitative behavioral observations are as important as the timing. Watch how birds approach the trap. A bird that lands and walks purposefully straight to the trap opening shows strong trap discipline even if the elapsed time is 6 or 8 seconds. A bird that lands and immediately looks around nervously, walks away from the trap, seems unsure where to go, shows poor trap discipline even if it eventually enters within 15 seconds. The confidence and decisiveness of the approach matter as much as the raw speed. Also observe whether birds are followers or leaders in trap entry. Some birds enter immediately regardless of what other birds are doing. These are leaders with strong independent trap discipline. Other birds hesitate until they see other birds entering, then follow. These are followers with weaker independent trap discipline. Leaders are more valuable because they'll trap well, even in races where they arrive alone. Followers might trap acceptably when arriving in groups but poorly when arriving alone or first. Now let's discuss test repetition. Because one test isn't sufficient for definitive assessment, trap discipline can be affected by temporary factors like minor illness, stress, weather sensitivity, or just having an off day. You need multiple test results to confirm a bird's consistent level of trap discipline. Conduct the trap response test 3 times minimum, spaced several days apart. Use the same distance in similar conditions for all 3 tests. This gives you 3 data points per bird. A bird that shows excellent trap discipline in all 3 tests, 5 seconds or less every time, is confirmed excellent. A bird that shows poor trap discipline in all 3 tests, 30 seconds or more every time, is confirmed poor. These birds should be selected or culled based on this clear, consistent data. Birds that show variable results across tests require judgment. A bird that shows excellent trap discipline in 2 tests, but poor in 1, might have had a problem during the poor test, or might have inconsistent trap discipline. Look at the specific circumstances. Was the bird healthy in all tests? Were conditions similar? Did something unusual happen during the poor test? If you can identify a clear explanation for the outlier result, weight the consistent results more heavily. If you can't explain the variation, assume the bird's trap discipline is inconsistent, which is itself a problem. Inconsistent trap discipline means the bird sometimes traps well and sometimes doesn't. In racing, you need reliable trap discipline every time. An inconsistent bird might trap well and place high one week, then trap poorly and lose positions the next week. This unreliability makes the bird less valuable even if its best performance is excellent. Consistency matters enormously. After 3 tests, you should be able to confidently rank all tested birds on trap discipline. Keep the top performers for priority racing. The middle performers are acceptable for racing but not elite. The bottom performers should be culled or relegated to breeding roles where trap discipline doesn't matter. Now let's talk about improving trap discipline in birds that show potential but need refinement. Some birds show moderate trap discipline in initial testing but can be improved through targeted training. This isn't possible for all birds. Birds with very poor trap discipline, those showing fundamental lack of loft attachment or extreme fearfulness, usually can't be improved enough to become good racers. But birds with moderate trap discipline can often be improved to good or even excellent levels through proper training. The training approach involves 3 elements: strengthening loft attachment, building confidence, and conditioning rapid trap entry through repetition and reward. Strengthening loft attachment means making the loft as appealing and secure as possible so birds are strongly motivated to enter when they return. Several management practices contribute to this. First, feed consistently inside the loft, always in the same location at the same time daily. Birds learn that entering the loft leads to food reward. This creates positive association and motivation to enter quickly. Second, ensure the loft interior is calm, quiet, and safe. No predators, no excessive disturbances, no stressful conditions. Birds that feel secure inside the loft are more motivated to enter quickly to reach that security. Birds that associate the loft interior with stress or danger will hesitate to enter. Third, minimize attractants outside the loft. Don't feed birds outside. Don't provide water outside. Don't allow birds to roost comfortably on the roof or other external perches. Everything desirable should be inside so birds have maximum motivation to enter. Fourth, maintain consistent environment. Don't rearrange the loft interior. Don't change the trap configuration. Don't paint or make major modifications during racing season. Consistency creates familiarity, and familiarity creates confidence and rapid entry. Building confidence involves exposing birds to gradually increasing challenges in controlled ways, so they learn to handle stress without losing trap discipline. Start with short, easy tosses where the bird succeeds easily. Building confidence, gradually increase distance and difficulty. If a bird shows hesitation after a longer toss, respond by doing several shorter, easier tosses to rebuild confidence before attempting the longer distance again. Avoid creating traumatic experiences during training. If a bird has a very difficult toss, gets lost, arrives exhausted, or encounters predators near the loft, it might develop trap hesitation from association with that trauma. Prevent trauma by keeping training progressive and appropriate for the bird's development level. Conditioning rapid trap entry involves repetition of the desired behavior with immediate reward. This is classical behavioral conditioning. Every time the bird enters the trap, ensure food is immediately available inside. The bird learns, enter trap, get food reward. This reinforces rapid entry. Some fanciers use specific trap entry training exercises. They'll toss birds very short distances, even just a few hundred meters, multiple times per day. Birds return, land, enter, eat, get removed, get released again. Repeat 5 or 10 times. This intensive repetition of the trap entry behavior with immediate food reward conditions the behavior to become automatic. After weeks of this training, birds' trap entry becomes so habitual that hesitation disappears. This conditioning training is time-intensive and requires dedication, but it works for birds with moderate trap discipline. Birds with very poor trap discipline usually don't improve enough to justify the effort. Focus conditioning training on birds that show some natural trap discipline but need refinement. Now let's discuss loft modifications that can improve trap discipline by making the trap more visible, appealing, and easy to use. Many trap discipline problems are actually loft design problems. Birds hesitate because the trap is hard to see, hard to use, or associated with negative experiences. Fixing these design issues can dramatically improve trap entry across your entire team. First consideration is trap visibility. Birds approaching from altitude need to identify their loft quickly and see exactly where the entrance is. If your loft blends into surrounding buildings or landscape, birds have to search to find it, which delays landing and entry. Make your loft visually distinctive. Paint the roof a bright color that contrasts with surroundings. Many successful fanciers use red, orange, yellow, or white roofs because these colors are highly visible from distance and altitude. Make the trap entrance area specifically distinctive. Paint the landing board a different color from the loft. Add visual markers like flags, colored cloth, or other objects near the trap that birds can see from distance. Gaston van de Wouwer mentions hanging a small red cloth near his trap that's visible from 500 meters. Birds learn to associate that specific visual marker with home, making identification and approach faster. Second consideration is trap design and ease of entry. The trap openings should be large enough that birds can enter easily without squeezing or maneuvering. Small trap openings create hesitation because birds have to aim precisely and commit to a tight entry. Larger openings allow casual, confident entry. Obviously, the trap can't be so large that birds escape accidentally, but within safe parameters, bigger is better for encouraging rapid entry. The landing board should be comfortable and appropriately sized. Too small and birds feel unstable when landing. Too large and birds have space to walk around and hesitate. The ideal landing board gives birds stable landing space but encourages immediate movement toward the trap entrance through slightly sloped or configured design that naturally guides birds toward the opening. Some fanciers use bob wires or other one-way entry mechanisms that prevent birds from exiting through the trap once entered. These need to be designed carefully so they don't create hesitation. If birds perceive the trap mechanism as threatening or confusing, they'll hesitate to enter. Test any trap modifications with your birds during training to ensure they don't create avoidance. Third consideration is olfactory cues. Birds have functional sense of smell, though it's not their primary sense. Some fanciers believe scent marking the loft area helps birds identify home and creates positive association that encourages rapid entry. Use loft-specific scents like cedarwood shavings, specific herbs, or other natural materials that create a distinctive smell profile associated with home. The theory is that birds approaching the loft smell the familiar scent and recognize home immediately, reducing hesitation from uncertainty about whether they're at the correct loft. This is particularly valuable in loft-dense areas where many lofts are close together and visual confusion is possible. The scent provides additional confirmation that this specific loft is home. Whether olfactory cues significantly affect trap discipline is debatable. Some experienced fanciers swear by it. Others think it's a minor factor at best. It's low cost and low risk to implement, so if you want to try it, add some scent markers to your loft and see if you observe any improvement in trap entry behavior. Fourth consideration is minimizing threats near the landing area. Birds hesitate to land and enter if they perceive threats. Common threats include predators, especially hawks, cats, or other animals that might lurk near the loft. If your loft area has regular predator activity, birds will be cautious about landing and entering. Address predator issues through netting, scare devices, or other protective measures. Human activity near the loft is another perceived threat. If people regularly walk past the loft, work near it, or gather near it, birds become cautious. Keep human activity away from the immediate loft area, especially during racing when birds are returning. Train family members and visitors to stay away from the loft when birds are expected to return. Unusual objects or changes near the loft create hesitation. Birds are suspicious of anything new or different. Don't place new equipment, decorations, or objects near the trap area. Keep the environment stable and predictable. Now let's discuss selection decisions based on trap response testing, because this is where many fanciers struggle to make hard choices. You've tested your birds. You have clear data showing which birds have excellent trap discipline and which have poor trap discipline. What do you do with this information? The answer should be straightforward, but emotions often interfere. Birds with excellent trap discipline, 5 seconds or less, consistent across multiple tests. These birds are priority racers and priority breeding birds. If other qualities are also good, keep these birds. Train them, race them, breed from them if they prove themselves. Their trap discipline is a valuable genetic trait that benefits your program. Birds with good trap discipline, 5 to 15 seconds, consistent across tests. These birds are acceptable racers and acceptable breeding birds. They're not elite on trap discipline, but they're not problematic. Keep them for racing and consider them for breeding if other qualities are strong. Birds with marginal trap discipline, 15 to 30 seconds, or inconsistent trap discipline, showing high variation across tests. These birds are questionable for serious racing. You can race them in less competitive events or keep them as stock birds, but don't prioritize them. Only breed from them if they have exceptional other qualities that justify overlooking the trap discipline weakness. Birds with poor trap discipline, 30+ seconds consistently, or birds that show extreme hesitation behavior, like repeatedly flying away after landing. These birds should be culled from your racing program. Don't waste resources training them. Don't breed from them. Their trap discipline is so poor it creates unacceptable loss risk and will never produce competitive race results. The hard part is culling birds that look good physically or have good pedigrees but show poor trap discipline. Many fanciers can't bring themselves to cull a bird that looks like a champion in the hand but hesitates at the trap. They rationalize, maybe with more training, or maybe it's just young and will improve. These rationalizations prevent proper selection. Trust the test results. Trap discipline is highly heritable and highly stable. A bird that shows poor trap discipline in testing will almost certainly show poor trap discipline in racing. The physical quality doesn't matter if the bird won't enter the trap. The pedigree doesn't matter if the bird gets lost through hesitation. Cull based on tested behavior, not on appearance or paper genetics. Some fanciers ask whether they should give poor trap discipline birds one more chance through additional training before culling. My answer is that if you have time and interest in remedial training, you can try conditioning training with the poorest performers. But set a clear timeline and standard. If after 4 weeks of intensive trap entry conditioning, the bird still doesn't improve to at least marginal trap discipline levels, cull it. Don't invest months trying to fix a bird that has fundamental problems. Most fanciers don't have time for extensive remedial training. If that's you, cull poor performers immediately based on testing and focus resources on birds with demonstrated ability. This is more efficient and produces better results than trying to rescue marginal birds. Let's address the relationship between trap discipline and breeding because this is important for long-term program development. Trap discipline is partly genetic. Birds from parents with excellent trap discipline are more likely to show excellent trap discipline themselves. Birds from parents with poor trap discipline are more likely to show poor trap discipline. This means trap discipline should be a selection criterion for breeding birds, not just racing birds. When selecting breeding birds, evaluate trap discipline along with other characteristics. A bird that raced well but had poor trap discipline might produce offspring that race well but also have poor trap discipline, creating ongoing problems. A bird that had excellent trap discipline will more likely produce offspring with excellent trap discipline, which benefits your program long-term. This doesn't mean you can never breed from a bird with less than perfect trap discipline. Sometimes a bird has exceptional other qualities that justify breeding from it despite moderate trap discipline. But be aware of the trade-off. You might be introducing or perpetuating trap discipline problems in future generations. Balance is necessary. Ideally, select breeding birds that excel in multiple characteristics including trap discipline. This creates compound improvement across generations. Each generation gets faster, stronger, and shows better trap discipline because you're selecting for all these traits together. Now let's discuss trap discipline in different racing contexts because the importance varies slightly based on race type and competition level. In sprint races, short distances under 200 kilometers, trap discipline is absolutely critical. These races are often won or lost by seconds. A bird that hesitates even 15 seconds at the trap can lose dozens of positions. Sprint racing demands exceptional trap discipline for competitive success. In middle distance races, 200 to 500 kilometers, trap discipline remains very important but slightly less decisive than in sprints. These races have more time separation between arrivals, so a few seconds of hesitation doesn't cost as many positions. But trap discipline still matters significantly. Birds with poor trap discipline will lose positions, create recovery problems, and increase loss risk. In long-distance races, 500-plus kilometers, trap discipline is still important, but other factors like endurance, navigation in difficult conditions, and physical resilience become more important. A bird can have moderate trap discipline and still succeed in long distance if other qualities are exceptional. But even in long distance, excellent trap discipline is advantageous. It's just not as decisive as in shorter races. In one-loft races or highly competitive races with large fields, trap discipline can be the difference between top 10 and top 100. When hundreds of birds are competing and arrivals are clustered, every second at the trap affects final position. In these contexts, trap discipline is as important as flight speed. In relaxed club races with small fields and friendly competition, trap discipline matters less for winning but still matters for bird safety and loss prevention. Even if you're not trying to win, you want your birds to enter quickly to minimize exposure and recovery time. Adjust your trap discipline standards based on your racing goals. If you're competing seriously in sprint races, accept only excellent trap discipline. If you're racing casually in long distance, you can accept moderate trap discipline in birds with other strong qualities. Match your selection to your context. Finally, let's talk about the championship perspective on trap discipline, because quotes from top fanciers reveal how central this characteristic is to their thinking. Leo Harriman said, "Trap speed is more important than wing quality. A bird that enters fast always comes home." This statement prioritizes behavior over physical characteristics. Harrimans would rather have a bird with average wings and excellent trap discipline than a bird with perfect wings and poor trap discipline. The trap discipline ensures the bird returns and registers, which is what actually matters in racing. Louis van der Velde said, "I keep my trap color always the same, never changes." Van der Velde understood that consistency in visual markers helps birds identify home quickly and enter confidently. He maintained the same trap appearance for decades because birds learn that specific visual pattern means home. Changing it would create hesitation and confusion. Gesthone, while primarily discussing young bird training, emphasized observing trap behavior from the first tosses. Birds that enter quickly from the beginning almost always maintain that pattern. Birds that hesitate from the beginning usually continue hesitating. Early trap behavior predicts future trap behavior with high reliability. These champions, despite different methods and approaches in other areas, all converge on the importance of trap discipline. This consensus across successful fanciers from different eras and regions tells you this characteristic is fundamental. Ignore trap discipline at your peril. Prioritize it, and you align yourself with proven successful practice. The trap response test is simple to conduct, provides clear measurable results, predicts racing success and loss risk with high reliability, and allows objective selection decisions. Every serious racing program should incorporate systematic trap discipline testing and selection. Test your young birds, test your racing team, cull poor performers, keep excellent performers, breed from birds with excellent trap discipline. Over generations, you'll build a team that traps fast, races successfully, and rarely gets lost. Trap discipline isn't everything, but it's more important than most fanciers recognize. A bird that won't enter the trap fast won't succeed in racing regardless of other qualities. A bird that enters immediately has a foundation for success that compensates for moderate abilities in other areas. Test it, select on it, improve it where possible, and build a team of birds that know one thing absolutely: When you get home, you enter immediately. That's what winners do. That's what your birds should do. Make it happen through testing, selection, and proper management. The trap response test. 5 seconds or less. 3 consistent tests. That's your standard. Meet it and succeed. Ignore it and struggle. The choice is yours.